In the year 1220, an English monk indignantly recorded a complaint about the Danes in his chronicle. Do you know what crime these bloodthirsty barbarians were guilty of? They bathed too often. They combed their hair. They changed their clothes. And because of that, quote, they seduced virtuous English women and even the daughters of noblemen. That's right. While Europeans considered bathing a sin, the Vikings held a bath day every single Saturday, and it worked better than any battle axe. So what was sex really like in the world of longships, runes, and Valhalla? Spoiler, it was nothing like what the TV shows portray. Some of it will surprise you, some of it will shock you, and some facts will leave you genuinely unsettled. Get comfortable. Let's begin. Let's start with the biggest disappointment for the Romantics. A Viking marriage was not about feelings. It was a contract between two families, almost like a corporate merger. The groom paid the so-called munder, a bride price that proved the seriousness of his intentions. And on the morning after the wedding night, the wife received a mourning gift: money, jewelry, livestock, or even land. It became her personal property, her insurance. And this is where things get interesting. A Scandinavian woman of the Viking age had rights that her contemporaries in France or Byzantium could only dream of. She owned property, she ran the household, and carried the keys to the house on her belt, a symbol of real power. And, most importantly, she could get a divorce. All she had to do was declare the divorce in front of witnesses at the doorstep of the house and at the marital bed. That was it. She was free. Now, here are the grounds for divorce that were considered legitimate. The husband fails to provide for the family. Divorce. The husband sailed away and has been missing for 3 years. Divorce. The husband cannot perform his marital duties in bed? Divorce. Yes, impotence was an official reason to dissolve a marriage. The Icelandic sagas say so directly. Even more, clothing could be grounds for divorce. If a husband wore a shirt with a neckline cut too low, like a woman's, his wife had the right to leave him. Masculinity was taken very, very seriously here. Remember that. We'll come back to it later. Now for the most intimate part. What can we actually know about the sex lives of people who lived 1,000 years ago? More than you'd think. The sagas, the law codes, the poetry of the skalds, and the travel notes of Arab diplomats have preserved a wealth of detail. Let's start with everyday life. Forget about separate bedrooms. A typical Viking longhouse was one big shared space where everyone slept. The owners, the children, the workers, the guests, and, in winter, even the livestock behind a partition. Privacy? Never heard of it. Married life took place behind a thin curtain or in a bed nook, and everyone heard everything perfectly well. There was no prudishness about the body. It was Christianity that would later declare the body a source of sin. For the pagan Scandinavians, fertility was a blessing from the gods. Speaking of gods, the patroness of love and passion was Freya, a goddess who, to put it mildly, was not known for modesty, even by mythological standards. And at fertility festivals, people used figurines of the god Freyr, who was depicted, let's say, in a state of full combat readiness. Archaeologists are still finding such figurines today. In the pagan mind, sex was not a sin, but a force of nature, the same force that makes the earth yield a harvest. And here is one more fact that shatters the stereotype of the filthy savage. The most common archaeological find of the Viking Age is not a sword, and not an axe. It is a comb. Vikings carried entire grooming kits with them: tweezers, ear spoons, toothpicks. That famous Saturday bath day, Laugadagur, still lives on in the Scandinavian languages. In Icelandic, the word for Saturday literally means washing day. A clean, well-groomed, wealthy foreigner with great hair. Now you understand why the English monk was sounding the alarm. But don't rush to declare the Vikings feminists. The coin had another side, and it is a grim one. A noble Viking, in addition to his lawful wife, could keep concubines, frillas. The richer and more powerful the man, the more women he had. Kings and jarls did not limit themselves at all. Children born to concubines, by the way, were not considered shameful. Once acknowledged by the father, they could claim inheritance and even the throne. Several Norwegian kings were sons of concubines. And now, the hardest part. A huge portion of the Vikings' personal lives involved slave women, thralls. Women captured in raids on Ireland, England, and the Slavic lands. They had no rights and no choice. Modern geneticists have discovered something astonishing. In the population of Iceland, the majority of male DNA lines are Scandinavian, but a significant share of the female lines are Irish and Scottish. The island was settled by Viking men with captured and purchased women. Behind that dry statistic lie thousands of broken lives. The slave trade, including the sex slave trade, was one of the main sources of income of the era. The TV shows prefer not to mention that. In the year 922, the Arab diplomat Ahmad ibn Fadlan encountered the Rus, Scandinavian traders, on the Volga River. His notes are one of the very few eyewitness accounts we have, and they are not for the faint of heart. Ibn Fadlan describes tall, stately people, like palm trees, covered in tattoos from their fingernails to their necks.
He notes that every Rus openly lived with slave women, completely unashamed in front of others, something that left the Arab diplomat in deep shock. And then he describes the funeral of a noble Rus. A slave girl who agreed to follow her master spent 10 days drinking and celebrating, then went through rituals that I cannot describe in detail on this platform, and was killed so that she could accompany her master into the afterlife. For the Vikings, this was a sacred rite of passage. For us, it is a reminder that the past is never cozy. You might think, free morals, no prudishness at all. But there were things a Viking feared more than death in battle, and that was the accusation of ergi, of unmanliness. Scandinavian society had a concept called nid, an insult accusing a man of having played the passive female role. Such an accusation, true or not, was deadly, literally. Under Icelandic law, for the 3 most terrible insults, the offended man had the right to kill the offender, and the court would acquit him. The word itself was more dangerous than a sword. And yet, here is Scandinavian logic for you, the active role carried no shame whatsoever. What was condemned was not the act itself, but weakness and submission. Connected to this is a remarkable story about magic. The sorcery called seidr, divination and spell casting, was considered women's work. A man who practiced seidr automatically fell under that same brand of ergi. And do you know who was the chief practitioner of seidr in Norse mythology? Odin himself, the supreme god, for which he, a god, was openly shamed by Loki in one of the poems of the Elder Edda. Even the gods were not safe from accusations of unmanliness. And one more prohibition, a completely unexpected one. In Iceland, the law banned love poetry. Compose verses about another man's woman, pay a fine, or face outlawry and exile. The logic was simple. If you sing of her beauty, you must know something. A poem was treated almost as evidence of an affair, and it dishonored the woman's family. Romance, Icelandic style. Love her, but keep your mouth shut. And what about adultery? The classic double standard. A man's affairs on the side were easily forgiven. A woman's were not. Her infidelity struck at the honor of her entire kin. That said, the Scandinavians never reached the cruelty of the East or of later Europe. Most cases were settled with fines, divorce, or a blood feud between families. Everything changed around the year 1000. Christianity came to Scandinavia and brought entirely new rules. One wife, no concubines. Divorce, nearly impossible. The body, a vessel of sin, not a gift from the gods of fertility. The old world, with its easy divorces, morning gifts, and Saturday baths that seduced English women, was fading into the past. The irony is that the sagas were written down by Christian monks, so even what we know about Viking love has reached us filtered through the minds of people who considered all of it a sin. So what was Viking sex really like? Freer than anywhere else in medieval Europe, and at the same time, harsher. A world where a woman could divorce her husband over the neckline of his shirt, but a slave girl could not refuse her master. Where nobody was ashamed of the body, but a man could be killed over the word unmanly. Where love existed, but poems about it were against the law. The past is always more complicated than the stereotypes, and, frankly, more interesting. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. It seriously helps the channel. Subscribe, because there are many more topics ahead that history textbooks are too shy to talk about. And write in the comments, which fact surprised you the most? I read everything. See you in the next video.